Hey, welcome back. Today we're talking about something that a lot of people deal with, but not enough people talk about openly: financial stress. Whether it's debt, not earning enough, the cost of raising a family, or just the constant pressure of making ends meet, financial stress is real and it affects every part of your life. It makes it harder to focus, harder to sleep, harder to enjoy the things that matter to you. And when you're in the middle of it, it can feel like there's no clear way out. Today, we're going through 5 practical strategies that can genuinely help, not quick fixes, but approaches that address the root causes and give you a real path forward. Let's get into it. Strategy 1 is creating a budget. And I want to address the resistance to this one directly because I know a lot of people hear budget and feel like it's going to make things worse, not better. When your finances feel chaotic or overwhelming, the last thing you want to do is stare at all the numbers. But here's the thing: that vague, anxious feeling you carry around about money is actually worse than knowing the specific reality you're dealing with. A budget replaces the anxiety of not knowing with the clarity of a plan. A budget is simply a spending plan. It helps you make sure your essential expenses are covered, work toward your savings goals, and find any extra dollars you can direct toward debt. It puts you in the driver's seat of your own money instead of just reacting to whatever comes up. The first few months of sticking to a budget are genuinely the hardest. You're building new habits and getting familiar with a new way of looking at your finances. But once it becomes routine, most people find that they actually spend less time worrying about money because they already know the plan. The uncertainty is gone, and that alone removes a significant amount of stress. Strategy 2 is building an emergency fund, and this one has a more direct psychological impact than most people expect. An emergency fund is a dedicated savings account for unexpected expenses. Car breaks down, medical bill shows up, appliance needs replacing. Instead of those events throwing your entire financial plan into crisis, you tap your emergency fund and handle it. The problem is real, but the stress is dramatically lower because you have a resource for exactly this kind of situation. The standard recommendation is to start with a goal of at least $1,000 in your emergency fund, especially if you're still working on paying off debt. Once your debt is cleared, work toward building it up to 3 to 6 months of living expenses. If that feels like an impossible number right now, start smaller. Even setting aside $10 or $25 a month is building the habit and growing the cushion. You can also look around your home for items you no longer use and sell them, putting that cash directly into your emergency fund. Every dollar you add reduces the financial fragility that makes unexpected expenses so stressful. The goal isn't a perfect emergency fund overnight. The goal is momentum, building something that gives you a little more stability than you had before. Strategy 3 is knowing when to get outside help and not being afraid to do it. Financial stress can sometimes feel like something you should be able to solve entirely on your own. But there are real resources designed to help, and using them is a sign of smart decision-making, not weakness. If you're struggling to get a handle on budgeting and spending, financial literacy classes, many of which are free or very low cost, can give you practical skills and frameworks you may not have been taught before. Learning the basics of money management can genuinely change how you approach your finances. If you're dealing with significant debt and feeling overwhelmed by it, a nonprofit credit counseling service can help you understand your options. These services can help you restructure your debt and, in some cases, negotiate with creditors on your behalf. This is different from for-profit debt settlement companies. Legitimate nonprofit credit counselors are there to help you build a plan, not to profit from your situation. And if you're ready to think longer term, retirement, investing, building wealth, working with a financial planner can help you develop a strategy that balances your current needs with your future goals. There is no shame in asking for help. The people who get ahead financially are often the ones who are willing to seek out knowledge and guidance rather than trying to figure everything out alone. Strategy 4 is one of the most important and often the most uncomfortable: honestly assessing what you can actually change. Financial stress usually comes from one of 2 places: an income problem, a spending problem, or some combination of both. Getting clear on which one you're dealing with is essential because the solutions are different. If your income genuinely isn't enough to cover your necessary expenses, the path forward involves finding ways to earn more. That might mean looking for a higher-paying job, developing skills that qualify you for better-paying work, taking on part-time work, or building a side income. These aren't overnight solutions, but they address the actual problem rather than just trying to cut an already stretched budget further. If spending is the issue, if your income is sufficient but money disappears before the end of the month, the work is around building awareness and changing habits, tracking where money goes, identifying patterns, and making deliberate choices rather than impulsive ones. And if spending feels compulsive or out of control in a way that goes beyond simple habits, it's worth knowing that there are specialized support groups and professional resources specifically for that. There's no judgment in recognizing that some spending patterns have emotional roots that benefit from dedicated support. Once you have a clear, honest picture of what's driving your financial stress and a realistic plan to address it, the stress begins to lift. Not because the problem is solved yet, but because you have a direction. Strategy 5 is tracking your progress, and this one matters more than it might seem. When you're in the middle of dealing with financial stress, it's easy to focus entirely on how far you still have to go. The debt still feels enormous. The savings still feel small. The goal still feels distant. And that perspective keeps the stress high even when you're actually making real progress. Tracking your progress shifts your attention to what's working. You paid off a balance. Your emergency fund grew by another $200. Your monthly expenses came in under budget. These are real wins, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Progress, even slow progress, builds momentum. It builds confidence. And it's a reminder that your situation is not static. It's changing. You're changing it. That shift in perspective can make a meaningful difference in how you feel day to day, even before you've reached your final goal. Find a way to track that feels meaningful to you. Some people use a spreadsheet. Others keep a simple notebook. Some mark off a visual tracker. The method matters less than the habit of regularly checking in, recognizing what's improving, and reminding yourself that the work you're doing is adding up. Let's bring everything together. Financial stress is real, widespread, and affects far more than just your bank account. It affects your focus, your health, and your quality of life. But it is manageable, and it responds to consistent, intentional effort. Start with a budget to replace financial chaos with a clear plan. Build an emergency fund, even slowly, to reduce the fragility that makes every unexpected expense a crisis. Seek outside help when you need it, whether that's financial education, credit counseling, or professional guidance. Be honest with yourself about whether you have an income problem, a spending problem, or both, and build a real plan to address it. And track your progress so you can see and feel the momentum you're building over time. You can change your financial situation. The process takes time, but it absolutely works. And approaching it with a clear plan rather than constant anxiety makes every step of it more manageable. If this video was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more practical, grounded content on managing your finances and your financial well-being. Drop a comment below. I'd love to know which of these strategies feels most relevant to where you are right now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.